5 things I wish somebody had told me before I ever opened my computer or write or do anything that had to do with writing anywhere on the internet or for myself. In this video, I want to share with you those 5 things so that you may not have to face the hurdles that I faced and deal with the things that I dealt with. Hey, my name is Kamga. I am a husband, a writer, and a poet, and my mission is to be able to help you tell the story that only you can tell, whether it's with words, as a writer, with voice, with a podcast, or with video like this on YouTube. So if this is the first time you're coming to this channel, I'll recommend you subscribe if you're somebody who wants to learn more about storytelling, creativity, and the occasional rant about immigration, since I now live in the US. Number 1, I would not enjoy it every day. Here's the thing about doing the things that you love. I'm very passionate about writing. I love writing. My parents are not exactly writers, so it's not as if one of them forced me into writing or was inspired by them. I love words and I love stories, and I always find myself gravitating towards them as a kid. And one thing that I wish somebody had told me from the very beginning is that as much as you love this thing and you're passionate about it and you may be talented in it, you're not going to enjoy it every day. Most people don't realize that the process of writing is different from actually, coming up with the idea and writing the first draft and editing and publishing. Like, all of that is sub levels that involve the writer. So even in the age in which we are right now, sometimes you get to the point where you've written but you don't want to market. It's like new levels are adding in it every day. And one thing that I wish I knew is that I'm not going to enjoy it every day, and I need to know that, because when you know that you're not going to enjoy it every day, the day it happens that you don't feel like doing it, you will not suddenly start doubting, like, hey, am I a writer? Am I creative? Am I this person or that person? You just know, like, well, I expected this. 2, it wouldn't pay most of my bills. Almost anybody who is passionate about something will probably want to make a living out of it. There's this book by Srini Rao called An Audience of One. And basically the premise of the book is, if you're creating for one person, you're more likely to be able to get the kind of audience that people create for millions do. Like, if you know that you're creating for yourself, you reduce the circumstances or the feeling that, well, if this doesn't work out, I'm going to feel this way or feel that way. If somebody had told me, hey, I know you like doing this whole writing thing, but this may not be the way that you make a living, it would have saved me a lot of trouble in terms of trying to find a way to make the writing pay bills. Or I don't know, it's like if you're on YouTube, right, and you're making a YouTube channel, somebody can tell you, somebody could actually let you know what, this YouTube thing may not work out. You may not be able to pay your bills with this YouTube thing. That already opens your mind to the possibility of it happening, so that when it happens, it's not that kind of a gut punch, like, oh my God, I did not know that this was going to happen, and then now you have no options. And the key to this is knowing that, yes, you may love to write, you may love to create, however, until that book or that blog or whatever it is that you're making is able to sustain itself, you might have to find something else to keep doing. You might have to find a day job. You might have to put it in between moments of lunch. You might have to do 2 jobs so you can be able to pay your bills and actually do the writing. Writing may not pay your bills, so know that. Number 3, writing is about clear thinking. Many people think that some people are born talented with writing. I think, some people are born talented with everything. They're talented footballers, talented basketballers, talented dancers. Like, people have a learned or a genetic aptitude to be better off than others in certain things. That is true. However, writing at the basic form, what I've understood from writing, which I wish somebody had told me, is that writing is about clear thinking. Writing is about communicating and sending a point across. And if you're not thinking clearly, then you cannot get your point across. If you don't know what is the argument you're trying to make, how do you introduce the argument? How do you explain something to somebody? All kinds of writing, whether it's fiction, non-fiction, poetry, it's about transmitting an idea to somebody. In this case, for example, you watching this video, if I'm not clear enough to think about what I want to say and then get it across through words, then doesn't get a point. And that's the thing about writing that I wish I'd been told, because that would have made me realize that understanding something like philosophy, understanding things like how to actually do a tutorial, the technical aspects of writing, about the clarity of thought, which may not be seen in the beautiful works of, Stephen King or Shakespeare. These people are able to be celebrated now because they're able to paint a picture, and for you to be able to paint that picture, you can either hope and count on being extremely talented at doing it, or you can work on becoming a better thinker. So the point is, if you are a better thinker, you tend to be a better writer, and I feel like they go together. People who write really well tend to think really well. 4, inspiration doesn't matter as much as deliberate practice. What does this mean? Most people who hear of people who say they are writers think, oh my God, I suppose you're inspired all the time, like you're always having ideas. Yeah, which is true. Most of the time I'm always collecting ideas. I always have notebooks and trying to figure out, is this going to work, is it not going to work. I have hundreds of drafts in my draft folder right now waiting. I have thousands, literally thousands of things I've published on Medium. However, what I've understood now that I wish somebody had told me earlier is that this whole inspiration thing, it can come on a schedule. You can make time for it. I'm sure you hear of many writers. I think there are a bunch of people, Stephen King, for example, Elizabeth Gilbert. There are a bunch of these writers who said things about, like, I've forgotten the quote. It says, inspiration is real, like it exists. However, it always meets me at 9 a.m. every morning. So basically, this writer that I've forgotten was saying, yeah, inspiration is a real deal. Like it's true. Sometimes you get ideas that are great and that are like marvelous and they are fully formed and they're ready to go. But for you to be able to get that inspiration and use it and to be able to create consistently, in my case to write consistently, you need to deliberately practice. If you've heard of the 10,000 hour rule that was popularized by Malcolm Gladwell's book Outliers, which initially came from Eric Erickson's research. The 10,000 hour rule states that for you to become an expert in a particular area, you need to practice for 10,000 hours, whether you're a violinist, a dancer. But here's the thing about the practice that people fail to realize. It's not about sitting there and writing for 10,000 hours and then you say, hey, I'm practicing, why am I not getting better? It's the point, the deliberate point there is you're looking for the areas where you need to be improving. It means you're working on things that you need to work on. Is it your vocabulary? Is it your storytelling style? Is it your voice? Is it your characterization? So you go to the practice looking for specific things to improve. In as much as inspiration is great, I wish somebody had told me, listen, yeah, you're inspired and you are sort of talented, but you need to actually learn how to do this thing the right way by looking for the things that make great writing great and finding a way to learn them. Final one. It takes a long time to look like you just woke up. I don't know if you've ever played Guitar Hero. It's a game that my brother and I used to play, Guitar Hero 3 Legends of Rock. And there's when the page is loading, you have this thing that comes up. It says it takes a long time to look like you just woke up. It's a rock thing, like, you know, rock artists, rock musicians always look like they just woke up, like they just came out of bed and they were playing and they're just exceptional. It takes a long time to look like writing is easy. It takes a long time to practice deliberately, to build this vocabulary and to be able to tell these stories in a way that, oh my God, it's so easy. It comes naturally to Lou. He's such a natural storyteller. Like the whole idea of natural, you don't see the work that is behind people who look natural and how much they put in. Yes, I keep saying this because you cannot ignore the fact that some people are talented and good at certain things. But even the people who are good at those things, if they don't practice, they don't get better. And basically people who actually work harder and focus on deliberately practicing and learning these things outshine them 10,000 times over. It takes a long time for anybody, you, me, to actually write and it looks easy. And now the bonus point. Writing is one thing and it's also a couple of things. It's the idea, it's the first draft, it's the edit, it's the feedback in, publish, and then feedback out. Those are 6 different levels. And by the way, if there's anything in this video that I said that you would want me to actually go deeper and actually explain more and probably bring research and books and quotes and things like that, just go down in the comment section and leave a question. Like, is there any of these points that you don't understand that you want me to clarify? People look at writing as one block of thing, like the whole idea of the idea. So you get the idea, you write it down, you edit it, you publish it, and you have a book. Like, it's this one mass of thing. But writing is a process. And when you understand it's a process, you don't feel bad when you're not able to move past a particular stage in the process. Say, for example, you decide that today you're going to just get ideas. That day, and you're able to come up with 20 ideas. Those are 20 potential blog posts that you could write, or potential books, or potential articles for your whatever it is that you're writing. The idea is great because everything starts with the idea. People say idea is nothing, execution is everything. It's sort of true, but if you don't have an idea, then execution doesn't happen, right? You need to have an idea that actually is a good idea for it to work. So the idea phase of the writing part is still a space inside the writing process. So you have the idea, and then you have the first draft. The first draft, people usually say, get the first draft as fast as possible. You can always fix it. But when you have your first draft, you already have the main idea inside something that looks like a story. First drafts will come out great if you're talented or particularly inspired on that day. Your first draft might be all you need. You probably just need to fix like typos and vocabulary, and that's it. You're ready to go. But then after the first draft, you have to edit. And people forget that editing is a different process from creating. When you're creating, when you're in the idea and first draft phase, do not edit. Man, I wish somebody had told me these things. I mean, even now I'm telling you this, I am basically telling myself, because something I do, I always make this mistake where instead of focusing on just getting the word out, getting the thing out, I'm trying to edit at the same time. That's not a very good idea. So you have the idea. You have the first draft, which is the first iteration of the idea. And then you have the edit, which is where you fix the things, you reorganize it. And maybe even inside there somewhere you have the research, which will come before the idea or even after the idea. Some articles you write and you don't need any research. Poetry, for example, might not require research. Fiction works might not require research unless you want to put details that are required. Like a lot of things that may or may not require research. Research falls at any level of the stage, whether it's when you're looking for the idea, whether you're writing it, whether you're editing it. Sometimes it's okay to actually put it anywhere. So idea, first draft, edit, research or not, feedback, open. I call it feedback open because it's when you give to people to read. Maybe you send it to your agent if you're writing a book. Maybe you send it to a friend if you're writing an article. Maybe you basically send it to an online community where people are checking it out and giving suggestions on how you can make it better. Feedback open is a stage in itself in the writing process where you now receive people's opinion on your work and you choose whether or not to apply it based on what you're trying to get with the whole point of the idea. So when you've done the feedback open, you've gotten feedback, you've done the edit, now you publish. People don't realize that publishing itself is part of the writing process. Where do you publish? How do you publish? How often do you publish? Like, that is a whole thing in itself, the publishing aspect of this journey. The last part of the writing process, which I call feedback in. You've written the story, you had the idea, you edited it, you had the first draft, had feedback, published it. Now people are telling you what they think about your writing. Your writing sucks. It hurts, right? Or your writing is great, it's amazing. Or, hey, could you submit more stories? That is still part of the writing process, because from there, on that feedback in, you can actually get ideas for your new piece. So those are the 5 things that I wish I knew before I started the writing process. If there's anything that you want to know about writing, social media, creativity, and things like that, just go down in the comment section right now. I know you have things to do. I'll talk to you next week. Bye.